one, you're live.
Hey, welcome to the Jeremiah, to the Dr. D show. It is the Dr. D show a lot of the time. But
we get so excited, we sometimes forget what we're doing because of the guests and the subject and all of that good stuff.
And our special guest, man, if you got to check him out on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, the Jeremiah show, or the Dr. D show. I think both will work.
We might.
Man, the drum set behind him is so cool.
I love it. I love it.
But before I get to our special guest today, let me right here at the top take care of a little business.
Okay.
Because our good friends in Los Angeles, restaurateurs Suzanne Goen, Chef Suzanne Goen, and Caroline Stein.
Yes.
They at AOC are doing something pretty cool right now. It's called Takeout for Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
It starts on Sunday, March 20th through Monday, March 21st, 2 days. 100% of the proceeds from both of these evenings, takeout to go sales, will be donated to the World Central Kitchen. So I wanted to mention that. So they're always doing so much. These two restaurateurs, these two business women that we love so much here on the show, and their restaurants, AOC. And I should mention it's at AOC. AOC, and they're downtown at the Proper Hotel, one of my favorite spots. And just really great. Again, Takeout for Ukraine, Sunday, March 20th and Monday, March 21st. 100% of the proceeds. So that's this coming up weekend. And again, 100% of the proceeds from both of these evenings for to-go sales will be donated to the World Central Kitchen for Ukraine. And we're doing this show today. It is, I'm gonna take away its evergreenness here, Dr. D. And we're on the 16th of March, and Dr. D and I are both Irish boys.
Aye.
And tomorrow is March 17th, which is, everybody knows, St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day.
And in Santa Barbara, the Lark, our good friends down at the Lark, are celebrating St. Patrick's Day with an exclusive whiskey pairing dinner.
Oh, wow.
Our friend Chef Jason Paluska he's got a beautiful menu. Check it out on their website. It's March 17th at 6 p.m. I don't know. They may be sold out, but I would check with them.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah. Anyway, for you, what are you going to do on St. Patrick's Day, Dr.
Well,
D? Or should I check with you tomorrow since we're doing shows?
Well, actually, I think we're going to have just a quiet dinner at home, just simply because we're not, as much as I love eating out. Okay. On days like St. Patrick's Day and what have you, the crowds get a little much for me as well as my wife. So we'll have a nice quiet dinner, and we'll top it off with, because we went out and we did buy some genuine Irish whiskey. We're going to have a nice Irish coffee.
No, very nice.
Yeah. So
sounds good, man.
Because it's like Irish coffee you can have it just as a drink, or it can be a dessert of sorts. You just sit there and you enjoy it, and it's great. So
I'm going to send you the Buena Vista recipe for an Irish coffee.
Excellent.
It is amazing. We used to serve it at a restaurant of mine every Sunday.
I'll look for it.
The top arrow. The Buena Vista's famous restaurant up in San Francisco.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to our special guest. Let me tell you why I love this guy. And I love having him on the show. He tells good story. So I'm going to really turn this over to David today. He's got some really great stories, and he's dabbling. That he probably followed at some point in his life. I don't know if it was planned or if it just happened, but that's old saying of do what you love and you never work a day in your life.
Here.
This guy personifies this.
In addition to the fact he is Irish. I mean, I'm with a name like David Greene.
Yeah, he's
I got some Irish blood somewhere in there, man.
There you go.
So yeah, let's get right to him. Anyway, I was just gonna say this. He's a visual artist. He's a designer. He's a fashion designer, a musician.
I love what he's wearing. Those who are watching YouTube can see this. I love I love the hat and the jacket there. That looks cool.
Thank you, buddy.
Love the shoes, love the jacket, love it.
Love it all.
You are quite complimentary, and you're right. He does look good, man. He's dressed for radio for sure. David Greene. Let me give you out his background a little bit here. He's got eclectic he's been described as, and we're gonna find out if that's true or not. British Guyana-born designer, visual artist, musician, and backline technician, as I said. He has also at the top here, I wanted to say hello to his fans because I've been following, David has some really, really loyal and great fans. I've been following some of his posts on Facebook and the interaction and the people that are excited for this interview. So I just wanted to welcome David's fans to the Jeremiah Show as well. So happy to have you and support this amazing man. He inspires his fans around the world, not only with his talents, Dr. D, but with this mantra that he lives by. It's he says, no rush, no waiting, no fail. It's an approach he has to life and to his success. And we're going to dig into that. I want to hear more about that. That intrigues me.
Sounds a little Rastafarian to me.
Hey, man,
I love it.
Reggae is one of my things.
There you go.
Early on, though, he developed a mastery of the music and a technical proficiency, I should say, that led to working with icons, music icons, like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Wow.
Joe Walsh, local Santa Barbara guy, I believe he's still local.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Idol, who was my favorite in 7th grade. I even used to create those little leather things he put around his wrist, you know, with the little studs in them.
Oh, wow.
I was wannabe punk or whatever he was. Keb Mo, he's worked with Lisa Marie Presley.
Oh, wow.
Brian Setzer. Love Brian Setzer. Brian Wilson, another local gentleman here in Santa Barbara, and so many more. In 2012, he had the opportunity, Dr. D, to play percussion with Joe Walsh on the Analog Man Tour. And on stage, Ringo Star joined them, Brad Paisley, Jeff Lynne, Steve Perry of Journey.
Wow.
David is so talented, he writes so many different areas, so many different genres as an artist. We're going to talk about Joe Walsh as well a little bit here, who gave David, I call him Dave. He asked me to call him Dave because we're friends.
I still call him Mr. Greene.
Yes, you call him Mr. Greene, and I'll call him Dave and everybody else. David was, Joe Walsh called him Mysterious Dave, and there's got to be a good story to that one. This is also very cool because I've noticed this around town in Santa Barbara here, down by the City College. There are hundreds of people that are riding skates again in an empty parking lot.
Roller skates, yes.
Yeah, with music and boom boxes like it was back in the 80s. So we're going to talk about that because Dave designs a lot of art he's got a streetwear company, a fashion company called Street Style Shirts. You can check them out at streetstyleshirts.com if you'd like.
Street Style T-shirts.
Street Style T-shirts.
T-shirts.com. Yes.
And yeah, so we're going to get right into it. Welcome, David Greene.
Oh, man. Thank you, guys.
I want to get right into, it's so nice to have you here, by the way, on this fine Wednesday. It's a beautiful day here in Santa Barbara. You're in LA, right?
Yes, I'm in North Hollywood.
Describe the scene behind you for us, for the listeners and the people on YouTube that are watching. Are you in your studio, the pad?
Yeah, this is called the Pad LA, the Pad Los Angeles, PADD. And this is my home studio. You know, a lot of things happen here, from music production, T-shirt production, video production. You know, pretty much, when I went on the road with a lot of these guys, what I would do. Well, to put everything in perspective, the reason that I went into the industry as a technician was for an education. So what I would pretty much do is look at what these guys are doing, and I'd come home and do it to the limit of my budget.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, what great teachers, right? I mean, some of the very best, Tom Petty, Joe Walsh, and on and on. The list goes on and on.
Amazing, man.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking while I'm looking at your big drum set there, that I get, if we all get stressed, right, during our daily lives, it would be so helpful to have a drum set like that when you get stressed. You could just,
Oh
I
man.
bet you within 5 minutes, you forget about everything that was bothering you after
Oh, man,
pounding.
yeah. I'll beat the heck out of them, man.
Better to beat it out.
This way, this way I don't have to beat up people.
Yeah. That way you can keep your peace, what you live by, the peace mantra going. Well, let's start with that mantra that you have. No rush, no waiting, no fail. That's an approach you have for life and success. Can you define the idea for me?
Well, no rush. There's no rush on anything that, for me. I mean, time is of the essence, but rushing causes problems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I kind of learned along the way. I mean, even when, if I rush something myself or try to push it, usually I make more problems for myself than necessary. The no waiting, well, I don't particularly care for waiting, man. It's about acting now. I mean, now is where it's at, man. If you're acting now, the thing too is there's a thing about opportunity that I've realized over the years that, when it presents itself, if it's not jumped on immediately, 2 seconds later, that thing is gone. So it's important to kind of realize that for me,
Yeah. So let's think about that for a minute, though. You don't rush, and I totally agree with that. When you rush, you make mistakes, but there's no waiting. So you get on it right away. You get on the idea. You get on, whatever you're excited about, the creativity when it comes to you. But it must be a lesson in discipline to not rush when you get excited like that.
Oh, very, very much so. Very much so. I mean, one of the areas that I learned that lesson is actually being on the road with the bands that I've played with, because a lot of the times, we run into technical issues on the road, and it's important to get them handled right away.
Yeah. But
it's not a rushing deal, man. You get it handled fast, but don't rush it.
Yeah. Well, that's so interesting. I'm happy that you brought that up, because it leads me to one of my main questions for you. I don't think we've ever had a backline technician on the show. Can you describe what that means to me and the listeners? What does a backline technician do?
Well, backline technicians are the guys that take care of the instruments for the artist. I mean, every musician has a technician that takes care of their instruments. So like a guitar technician, he'll take care of all of the amps on stage. He'll take care of all of the guitars on stage. A drum technician, he'll take care of the entire drum whirl, where pretty much it's maintaining the drums, tuning the drums, setting up the drums. So each band has a team of technicians, that pretty much take care of them. It's almost like think like a Formula One race car driver, right? I mean, when they come into that pit, they've got a team that handles that race car. They handle everything about that race car so that the driver can just sit down in that thing and drive. He doesn't have to worry about anything. That's what backline technicians do. They handle all the instruments.
Are these the men and women that I will see periodically when you're watching a concert, bring out a new guitar or swap out something, either run out onto the stage, run back? Is that part of the backline technician's world?
That is part of the backline technician.
All right.
You know what they used to be called? Gophers.
Gophers.
Go for this, go for that,
Yeah, in fact, Doc, what they used to be called in addition to that was roadies in the old days.
Yeah.
Roadies. But I never liked that word, man. I never liked that word. And the reason that I never liked that word, because there's a difference between a technician and a roadie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, this is not about schlepping gear, man. These guys are extremely talented guys when it comes to handling instruments. So, I mean, these guys are technicians, man.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing too about these guys and gals, I'm sure, is I love it when, and I've heard this on some live albums that I've purchased, where the artist, the main artist who's on the album, he will take time and they'll actually put it on the album to give credit to the people who set up for them, kind of thing. And I love that.
Yes.
Because if it weren't for them, these guys would be playing acoustic in the parking lot.
Oh man, well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was one thing Tom Petty was really good with. He was really, really good with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so David, tell me about your hometown, where you were born, and then now you're in Los Angeles, right? But how did you? What was the journey from there, where you were born, to Los Angeles?
Well, I was born in British Guyana in South America, and I came to the U.S. when I was 10. So we landed in the Bronx. My parents came over first, and my dad was an accountant, my mom was a nurse. So they came over, and then the rest of the family came over, and we came from 2-story buildings to skyscrapers, man.
Yeah. What was it like? Culture shock?
Man. Very much, man.
Do you remember do you have like a imprint on your mind of first arriving in your new neighborhood and your new life? How was that?
Well, it was interesting because we lived on the 12th floor of an apartment building in the Bronx. So you can kind of see the landscape of the Bronx. So that was a very new thing, because again, Guyana, if you have a 3-story building, you're lucky.
Yeah. Quite a difference.
And then opening up the refrigerator and seeing milk coming in a box.
Rather than what?
These things come in a bottle.
In a bottle.
Yeah.
I could have sworn milk came in a cow.
Those are little differences, though.
Yeah.
A new world, right? I mean, to a 10-year-old boy, I imagine that's pretty.
It was
pretty new world, big world, exciting.
It was very different, man. Very different.
Well, talk about you developed a mastery of your music, and you developed your technical proficiency yourself. It led you to, as we've mentioned, and we're going to talk about next. The working on tour with Tom Petty. How did you develop this mastery of music, this proficiency as a technician? How did what interest, what first took your interest and then led you to down this path to this wonderful career in music?
Well, I wanted to find out, how the big dogs did what they did on the big stage. And that was the reason for going in as a technician. But the way that came about, which this is an interesting story. I was working at a marketing firm. I was doing market research, and I worked there for like 11 months. And that's like the longest job that I've ever had. And they started giving me that I ever held. 11. I've never been at a place for 11 months. So they were giving me insurance and all the different benefits. And the thought came to me, if I accept these things, I'm going to be there for 11 years. So, so I decided to give them 2 weeks, my 2 weeks resignation. And I didn't have anything lined up, but I just knew that I had to kind of eject myself. So one day I was looking through a brochure and it had this course for stage technicians, right? And it listed all of these different things that the course taught, which was like, they taught guitars, they taught, about microphones, about lighting systems, stage technician. And it was just a long list. And at the bottom of it, right, the price, right, on this course was $40, right? So I'm like, man, this has got to be some bullshit. So I called up the guys, right? I called up the guy and he said, and the guy that answered the phone, he said, Joe's Garage, may I help you? So I got this picture. I got this picture in my mind of this greasy hole in the wall guy coming out of the car with greasy hands. You know?
Oh, man.
So the guy said, listen, why don't you just come over and check it out, man? So it was not too far from me. So I went over and checked it out. You know what that place was, man? It was Frank Zappa's soundstage.
Oh, wow.
Joe's garage.
Oh, wow.
That's where it was, man. So
For $40.
for $40, they were giving, well, the course was mainly for high school students,
Uh-huh.
but for adults, they can pay $40 and get into the course. And it was, oh man, it was, I want to say it was 2 days a week, 4 hours a day. And they taught us, I mean, I've been playing a little bit of like guitar for quite a while before that. When the guitar course came around, it was 2 days. I learned more in those 2 days about a guitar than I learned in like the 20 years that I knew about guitar.
Oh, wow.
Because
Wow.
everybody had a guitar on their desk. They had us break that thing apart, take the strings off, take the neck off, take the pickups off, everything, and then put it back together.
Sounds like the military. Okay, take your weapon apart and put it back together.
Now, why
blindfolded.
did they do that?
Yes, huh?
Dave? Why did they have you do that? It was
Well, because they were training us to do to be guitar techs.
Hmm.
They pretty much had
Oh,
guitar techs
got
that
it.
came in from the road,
okay.
and
got it.
they would be the instructors. So, and, so it was the same for like drum guys. They had drum techs that came in from the road. They were the instructors. They had front of house engineers come in. They were the instructors.
So it's basically, it is a garage for instruments. It's like a mechanic would learn to take apart a car. You're doing that with
Yeah.
instruments and at
yeah.
a Frank Zappa studio. I mean, what better place to learn?
Oh man, it was amazing. The guy that was heading it at the studio, his name is Mark Coy, Marquecoy, and he was pretty much the guy that kind of introduced me to all of the contacts.
Well, hey, listen, we got to take a quick break, Dave. But Mark is in my mind. I've got a lot of Marks in my life, and you just mentioned a Mark. So we got to take a quick break here. But when we come back, I want to hear all about how you got connected with the Tom Petty camp. All right,
Okay.
we're talking to special guest today, David Greene. He's a designer, a visual artist, musician, and a backline technician. Check him out on themusicpageplus.com. This is where musicians come to feed. And you can go to also, let me give it out because I've got the wrong URL here. Would you give that out for us, Dave? Would you? The street
Street
shirts?
Style T-shirts.
T-shirts is what I'm missing. Okay.
Yeah, streetstyletshirts.com.
All right. And the Pad Los Angeles, which is a multimedia production facility that we're watching Dave. He's joining us from the Pad today at dave.greene, GREENE .productions. Find him on Instagram and follow him at dave.greene.productions, at street_style_T_shirts, and at the Pad Los Angeles, which is the.pad, PADD.los.angeles. And on Facebook, you can find him at david.stephen.greene, GREENE. We'll be right back.
Right on.
We got it all out there. Hey, that was I just copied and pasted that street style t-shirts from your bio. So you might want to fix that in there. If you send that out,
okay,
that was actually.
By the way, there is somebody else in the waiting room. Let me verify who that is.
Yeah,
unless they pop back out again. Hang on a second. Hang on. Nope, there's somebody else. Somebody else. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back to Jeremiah Show. David Greene. He's our special guest today. He's a fashion designer, a visual artist, a musician, and a backline technician. When we left for the break, David was just about to tell us how he got connected with Tom Petty.
Okay. Tom Petty, Tom Petty, Tom Petty. One amazing cat, man.
Yeah.
One amazing cat. But one of the, I think the most lessons that I've learned has been with Tom, because I've been with him the longest. But how I got involved with Tom, Mike Campbell, who is Tom's lead guitarist, he had a band called the Dirty Knobs, and my friend Mark, he recommended me to that band as a drum technician. So I worked for Mike Campbell's band before I worked for Tom. But playing in Mike Campbell's band was the drummer Steve Ferroni. You're going to hear me mention Steve Ferroni a lot because he's the drummer that I've sat behind for the longest. And if you know, if you remember the band, the Average White Band, songs like Pick Up the Pieces, Cut the Cake, that's all young Steve Ferroni. But he's played on so many hit records with so many artists. And I was working for him with the Dirty Knobs. And when Tom was about to, well, the first time I actually met Tom was on his 60th birthday, because another good buddy of mine, he's known as Chinner, Chinner. He was Mike's guitar tech. And he was the one that actually introduced me to the Tom Petty's camp. So on Tom's birthday, 60th birthday, they rented out the Malibu Inn out in Malibu, and they kind of closed the thing down, and it was a blast, man. I mean, sushi and liquor flowing.
And good views. That's a nice spot there.
Sushi and liquor. Okay.
Sushi and liquor, man. But I remember walking up to Tom afterwards, and I said, hey, Tom, my name is, Dave Greene, and I was just taking care of drums, tonight, and I just wanted to thank you for everything, man. And, I shook his hand, so he looked at me, he shook hands, and he said, well, you're welcome, man. So after that, they were doing the last DJ album, and they called me in to tune the drums on that album. So that was an experience in itself, because that session, the last DJ album, man, that freaking thing was magical. you couldn't walk. You know how the control room, there's a control room, then there's a door that closes it off. Okay, if that door is open, when anybody walked past, they would be magnetically drawn into that room. I mean, it was so magical. And so that's the first album that I've tuned the drums on with Tom. And at the end of the session, Bugs, which is a dear friend of mine now, he takes care of all of Petty's stuff. He's kind of the lead dog in the on the road crew. He said, hey, Dave, what you doing this summer, man? I said, hey, nothing, man. He said, you want to go out on the road with us? Yeah. So that's how it started, man. It was like, boom.
So in other words, to paraphrase, you were Tom Petty's birthday present. To sum it all up, you were his 60th birthday present.
That's good.
Man. I mean, I'll go with that, man. We had a really good relationship. I mean, with Tom, I had a really good relationship with Tom. I mean, there was a I want to say a mutual respect that for me was kind of off the charts.
It sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like it the way you approached him, in your first meeting, and then how your subsequent, work with him. You were kept being invited into the world. What could you sum up? There's been lots said about Tom Petty, but you knew him as a friend with a mutual respect. What type of man was he, professionally and as a friend?
Well, professionally, I mean, the only word that comes to me is they're seasoned, man. I mean, all of them cats are very seasoned. But I'll tell you a quick story about Tom. Well, first of all, from my perspective, the thing that the Tom Petty camp, the entire camp, was like a well-oiled machine. I mean, from top to bottom, it was like a well-oiled machine. But from my perspective, the thing that made it very how would I put it? A very nice place to be was the love that went between Tom and his wife, Dana. There was a love that was going on there that kind of spread through the entire organization. And that was very cool. But as to what Tom was like, after I was working with him for about, I want to say it was about 1.5 years, you know, I used to look at him at the way that they dress, because these rock stars, man, I mean, they don't dress normal. I mean, they got style going on. So Tom used to wear these boots on stage, which was really, really cool, right? And I was looking online trying to find the boots, and I couldn't find them. So one time I saw Tom and Dana his wife was standing in the aisle, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, Tom, man, you know, there's something that I want to ask you." So I said, he looked at me and he kind of smiled and he said, "What?" I said, "Man, where'd you get them damn boots?" Because, you know, I'm trying to find those boots and I can't find it. So he said, "Well, the reason you can't find it is because they're custom made." So Dana said, "Well, Tom, don't you have another pair a spare pair in your wardrobe?" He said, "Yeah, well, Dave, why don't you come to the locker room, you know, at 2:00 and try them on and see if they fit." So I went to the locker, you know, to his room, and I tried on Tom's boots. So and that's like monumental to me, because I actually stood in Tom Petty's shoes.
Tell me they fit.
Tell me, yeah, please. Did they fit?
They did not fit. Man. You can't step into that dude's shoes.
Hey, that's a story. I knew he was good. Did I promise great stories from David?
Oh.
So you can say I've stepped into Tom Petty's shoes.
Man, I actually stepped into the man's
The
shoes.
legend's shoes.
But here's the kicker, though. Here's the kicker, right? He said, "Listen, you know, when we get back to LA, you know, I mean, we'll hook you up." So I get back to LA after the tour, and then Tom's tailor called me up. He says, "Hey, Dave, Tom wants you to come over to the house. They're going to measure your feet and he's going to get some boots made for you."
Wow.
So 2 weeks later, man, I had myself a pair of Tom Petty boots.
Oh, wow. Now, I have one quick question on the boots. Were they too big or too small? His boots, his actual
No,
boots.
his actual boots were too big.
Okay.
And I think if they were my size, he would have gave it. I mean,
I would have stuffed them with paper and made them fit. I gotta tell you.
I would say they're perfect.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's greatly appreciated.
Well, no, I like the story though. That's a classy guy. That's a
But I love the
real
line
gentleman.
that David just gave about the boots. I walked. I actually stood in Tom Petty's boots, not just metaphorically, but literally.
Yeah, and
That's
you,
cool.
I would bet, Dave, that you're the only man that can say that.
Yeah, that is cool.
Very, very cool story. Hey, we're going to take another quick break, but when I failed to mention, when we left a break, you know, we mentioned Dave is a musician, a great musician, Dave Greene, and street style. What we played Going to Break last break that we took, our first break. That was your music, street style. Tell us quickly, if you could, David, a little bit about that song and that.
Well, that's the theme song for the brand. I mean, everything was done here, and it's called Street Style T-shirts. So a lot of the promotion that we'll have going out, it'll have that as the soundtrack, you know, for the brand. Street Style T-shirts.
I love both the songs that we play of yours here on the show. We're just about to play another one. It's called Theo One, the anthem. And this is a sweet story. Could you tell us a little bit about it before we hear it?
Yeah, this was one that I made for my first grandson. I mean, there was a miscarriage going on, you know, in her life. So when she got pregnant again, I felt I had to kind of stand by and watch. And watch and communicate with this dude before he came out. Do or do that.
You're being a good grandpa way
Yeah.
before
That's
Way
cool.
before, man.
he was present.
So I wanted to write something, for my grandson. So that's what I did, and that was while he was still in the womb. And interestingly, when I sent it to my son and my daughter-in-law, right, they would play it for. I have 2 grandsons now. They would play it for them as they went to sleep.
It's a beautiful song.
Very cool, man. Oh,
I love it.
man.
Well, you're going to hear it right now. But before, let's take care of just a little bit of business here for Mr. David Greene. Check out the musicpageplus.com. This is where musicians come to feed. It's very interesting. We need to do a show just on the website there. There's a lot going on that I'd love to talk about. Dave's a fashion designer. That's what he's doing currently. Beautiful, great graphic artist. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. When we come back, streetstyletshirts.com. Check them out and pick up some shirts. I was thinking today, man, when I was putting something on, I'm like, I can't put on anything that's as cool as Dave designed. So I'm going to have to order some stuff from you, the merch, and then next show stuff here.
Yeah.
Check out the
right on.
Los Angeles, the Pad Los Angeles, 2Ds, PADD. It's that cool. It's a multimedia production facility. And go to dave.greene.productions on Instagram at dave.greene.productions. Don't forget to spell green with an E at the end, and at street_style_T_shirts. That's on Instagram as well. And the pad, PADD again, .los.angeles. Go to all of them right now. Follow. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on, a lot of great graphic art. You can find them on Facebook at david.stephen.greene, STEPHEN.Greene with an E. We'll be right back.
Here we go. 3.
All right. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Just because we only have, let's see, we've got
15 minutes.
15 minutes, David. Yeah. So what I was going to do,
Okay.
I still wanted to go into Joe Walsh and the tour and everything that happened after that, but then wrap up the music thing with the music, portion with a few questions. And then I wanted to spend at least 10 minutes on your graphic art company. So I think so. Maybe we have 5 minutes left on. Does that sound good to you on music? And then we'll
sounds good.
we'll take our last break and then we'll come back and finish it up.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
Coming back.
In 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. Our fascinating guest today is David Greene. David Greene, he's a designer, a visual artist, fashion icon, musician, and backline technician. You want to check out his, if you're, in front of your computer or with your phone right now, streetstyletshirts.com. Great work there. Great line that we're about to talk about. But before we do, and we leave your music career behind, because you have retired, right, David, from music for the most part?
From the technical part of
Technical side. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything that I've learned, again, going into it, my main thing was in education, which I got an education that, I couldn't afford to pay for that darn thing.
Oh, wow.
It was just off the scale. But Joe Walsh.
Yeah. So in 2012, you were offered the opportunity to play percussion with Joe Walsh on the Analog Man Tour, right?
Yes.
And then through that opportunity, you played on stage with Ringo Star, Brad Paisley, Jeff Lynne, Steve Perry. Incredible. Really, you've got to have talent, but it takes more than talent to make your learning experience, your classroom in the music industry as a technician, as a musician. You were invited into some pretty prestigious music icon classes, right? And camps there. It must say a lot about you as a man that we're, as a gentleman. How did this come about?
Well, with Joe Walsh, that wasn't the first time that I worked with Joe Walsh. The first time was somewhere back around 2005, 6, 7, somewhere around there. Because Steve Ferroni was playing with Joe Walsh at one point. But at this, for the one in 2012, I came in as a technician and we were rehearsing in Texas. And I remember when the rehearsal, they took a break and I was standing in the middle of the rehearsal hall, and Joe came up to me. He said, "Dave, if you want to play a little bit of percussion, a cowbell or something, a tambourine, you can go ahead and play." So I said, fine. But the thing about it,
That's probably what I would be offered too, a little cowbell thing.
Only yours would still be attached to the cow.
Yeah, mine wouldn't have a bell in it either. It'd just be for show.
Well, the interesting thing about that instrument, man, you better be on because it cuts through everything.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
But anyway, when he said that to me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm a technician and I usually keep it separate, my technical stuff and my playing. I mean, when I'm a technician, I'm not a musician.
You're focused.
So I keep them completely separate. So I went up to my technical crew guys and I said, "Hey, listen, Joe said, it asked me to play percussion, but I really don't want to go up and do that because if I jump up there, I mean, he just told it to me. If I jump up there and start playing, the band is going to look at me and say, what the fuck are you doing?" I mean, the road crews, they're gonna, because nobody knows.
You would think you were like
So-
a rogue.
I mean,
Cowbeller.
That's security.
right, exactly.
David's really feeling it tonight.
That's right.
Feeling the music.
So I blew him off, man. So the next day. So the next day, I'm sitting between the two drummers because Joe has two drummers in the band and I usually sit right in the middle. I'm looking at them kind of, figuring out what they're going to need, in the show. So after one of the songs, Joe stops it and he leans between the two drummers, right? He looks at me, he says, "Dave, a little bit of percussion will be helpful." Like, holy shit. So I was like, okay, well, now he said it in front of everybody.
Now I'll do it.
Now I'm good to go. So I started playing a little bit of percussion and I didn't have a mic on. But the thing about Joe is he's got ears that are off the chart, man. That dude hears everything. I mean, you hear everything on that stage. So I knew he was listening to what was going on. So a couple of days in, he's like, "Okay, let's put a mic on Dave."
That was smart of him. He let you play, but he didn't put the mic on. He gave you a little trial first, huh? A little.
They ever let you do a 20-minute drum solo?
Well, Joe Walsh, I've got a great story, but we don't have time for it on the Joe Walsh. But one of the first musicians that I fell in love with in high school, and so you say Joe Walsh has great ears and he lives in town here. Hopefully he'll hear this. Come on our show, Joe. I'm going to sorry there to jump in on your show, David, but I'll just give a little plug there to Joe Walsh.
Go for it, man.
I'd love to have him here. But so he gave you this nickname though, and I'm sensing a trend as you're telling your stories. It sounds like almost everybody on the tour, on these tours and these different rock star camps have nicknames, and Joe Walsh gave you the nickname Mysterious Dave. I'm going to ask, what's the story behind that? How did you get Mysterious Dave? But it might be part of it that you don't want to tell because you're Mysterious Dave. So I don't know if we'll get an answer, but I'm going to try.
Revealing
Yes.
his trick.
Yeah, exactly.
Revealing the mystery.
That's right.
Or do we just keep it as it is and it's a mystery?
Well, no, I can tell you. I mean, pretty much when I'm on tour, I'm always doing something. I mean, he would see me coming with my little MIDI keyboard. I mean, he'll see me doing graphics. I mean, I'm doing all kinds of stuff behind the scenes because I have a lot of time. So a lot of times he would be like, nobody really knows. Well, when he introduces me, right? But this is the thing. He would go, well, every time I turn around, there's this guy that's sitting behind the drums and between the drums, and I really don't know what he does. And this is in front of 20,000 people. He's very mysterious.
Mysterious Dave.
So he calls him Mysterious Dave. I mean, he used to do, he used to do things that would highlight me in the band, which was interesting because I remember one time he did we were playing in front of 65,000 people, right?
Wow.
And he ran
What's
into
that
his
like,
speed.
by the way? What is that like? I'm
Oh,
sorry,
man,
to throw
it's
you
a-
off track.
Oh man, it's just a sea of people, man.
Isn't that great? Isn't that cool? The way that people come
Well,
together for music like that.
What was really an experience was one time he said, when he introduced me, he says, you know, because this is Mysterious Dave, he goes through his spiel and he says, everybody say hi, Dave. And the whole, man, the wave that came back, man. Holy smokes.
Oh, wow. Is there a recording of that somewhere?
I don't know.
We
I've
gotta
never
find
found
that.
one
We
yet.
gotta find
I'd
that.
love to get that.
Yeah. So do other bands, did Tom Petty, the different people that you've worked with, Steve Ferroni, did they give you nicknames?
Oh man. I had Mike Campbell's band, it was Panther. With Tom Petty's band, it was Mini Me.
Mini me.
Because Steve Ferroni is this big British dude, you know,
Yeah.
with a bald head like me. And there you go, Doc.
I like Doc. Nobody's called you Doc before.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So I mean, I've been called Panther, Mini Me, Ninja.
Ninja. Ooh.
But Ninja was with Citizen Cope.
Oh, I love Citizen Cope. Love him.
Man,
One of my
that was a
favorites.
blast.
Oh,
That was
man,
a blast.
he's great.
Okay. Oh, you got a break?
No, we do have to take a break, but keep going. Tell us your story. We'll break after you're finished. We've got 7 minutes left.
With Cope, I mean, the reason Ninja came up was because, you know, the front of house guy, when he would, you know, throughout the show, they would never see me because I'm kind of hiding behind the amp. But the other technician that was on the tour, he was like this 6-foot dude. So he would always stand out. So they called me Ninja because they couldn't see me then.
Oh, wow.
Oh man, well, the nicknames, those are great. I love hearing about those. Man, we got to hear the singing on mic with Steve Perry of Journey, but we've got to take. Is there any way you can squeeze it, or do we need to take the break?
Oh yeah.
Let's save it for the after
Okay,
the break.
okay,
Tease
we'll
the
come back.
listener.
All right.
Back with that.
And
All right, cool.
Yeah, Dr. D knows how to play this game. I feel like I'm watching my clock count down, and I feel like I'm one of those guys right now, defusing a bomb before, and it's getting right down to the last minutes, and I'm like, I need more time. I need more time with David.
We'll have him back. We will have this man back.
Yeah, there's no way to
man.
barely
Right
scratch
on,
the
man.
surface of the great stories here.
Yeah.
We're on
Appreciate
with
it, guys.
the great David Greene. He's a fashion designer, visual artist, musician, and backline technician. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, let's continue on. Final segment. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. I'm going to pass it over to our very special guest, David Greene. If you're just joining us again, he's a fashion designer, which we're going to talk about now, and a visual artist.
And he's a very happy guy. If you don't get that by now, you ain't listening to the right show.
We need happy in our lives. It's
Man.
all about,
He
man.
loves it up.
Live life, man. Life to the
betcha.
fullest. We can all take a note here.
Story
Before we
time.
go into talking about your fashion design and your great company, the streetstyletshirts.com, just tell us a story, if you wouldn't mind, Steve Perry of Journey, late Steve Perry, singing on mic with him.
Okay, well, that was Steve Ferroni, the drummer Steve Ferroni of Average White Band. He was being inducted into the Walk of Fame. So we were playing. I was teching for that store, and Steve said, "Hey, Dave, why don't you play a little bit of percussion with us, man?" So I said, "Okay, fine." So I started playing percussion, and that was the Average White Band that he brought back together with a couple of other players. I mean, Questlove was playing on that.
Oh, that's amazing.
And there was this guy that was sitting in the that came in. He was sitting down in the studio, and every time we finished the song, right, he would jump up and he would go, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, damn, okay, this is a fan. And you know, I didn't know who he was. So Steve looked at him, Steve Ferroni looked at him. He said, hey man, why don't you come on up and sing with us? Sure. And Steve had like a mic on his drums, on his drum riser, and he wanted the guy to come up and sing on that mic. But he said, no, I come up, he pointed at me, I'll come and sing on the mic with this guy. So I'm like, okay. So he comes up and, he gets on the mic. He gets on the mic and he starts calling out frequencies, right? He said, turn up a little 240, bring down a little. Oh, okay, dude, know what he's talking about. And then he starts singing. He's blowing my voice out of the water because I really don't sing. The only reason I was up there was because Steve said, you know, Steve Ferroni said, listen, we need a vocal part. And I said, well, you know, I'm not a singer. He said, I saw you singing on Facebook with a vocal. That was a percussion mic, man. So anyway, so we finished the rehearsal and I go out to dinner with Steve, right? And Steve looks at me, he says, Dave, do you know who that guy was that you were singing with on the mic? I said, I have no idea, man. He said, that's Steve Perry. Steve Perry of holy shit.
Well, probably a good thing you didn't know who he was, right? It would have been intimidating. Yeah. All right, man, we got to switch gears here because I really want to talk about, we can talk about the music stories for more, like we said, much more time, and we'll definitely have to have you back to hear more. But
okay, right on.
The music scene, the roller skates, rollerblading, you're out there a lot in LA it's kind of a revived scene, I've noticed. It also inspired, I think, a little bit your work on your company, streetstyletshirts.com, and also the rock and roll, the music scene, the way that these musicians you mentioned dress, the fashion, all of this inspired you to start this company. Tell us about the company.
Well, the company is it's a clothing brand, and the whole idea is bringing positive vibes into the community. And when that's done visually, I mean, we've got a lot of visual things going on that influence people in different ways. And the Radiate Peace collection, which is the first collection that we've done. I mean, we've got a few others coming down the pipe. You know, the idea behind that is if peace is visual, you know, like everything else, then there's a possibility that would influence, if fashion is peace, then peace becomes fashion. So the idea is just putting out some really, really cool looking fashion things to make it great again. Make peace great again, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, make peace great again. Absolutely. I like that. How come nobody's come up with that hat?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. And communities that you identify with, and feelings and things that you're putting out there, Dave, into the world. What could you mention a couple of those?
Well, the communities, a lot of it is just the experience in music, man. Because a lot of the times what I would do as a technician, when I was out as a technician, I was walking the crowds. I would walk in the audiences. I mean, I would take my laminate, stick it in my back pocket so nobody knows who I am. And I would walk in the audiences. And I want to say the audiences are some amazing freaking people, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, they would offer me everything. And I mean, everything, food, drinks, other stuff. I mean, they were welcome to me, man, which was very cool. I mean, especially the Tom Petty fans. I mean, just a great bunch of people, man. A great bunch of people.
Well, check it out. I mean, you've got some really great designs here. I want to pick up a few, but go to streetstyletshirts.com. And continue the message that David's putting out there and his fans and all of that. It's just really a great message to support, and you're going to look very cool doing it. Honestly, I mean, this guy is he's been in Tom Petty's boots. That's all I got to say.
Oh yeah.
If anybody designs really cool fashion, it's this guy right here, David Greene. Let me give out real quickly because we're running out of time. The musicpageplus.com. Check him out there. Where musicians come to feed. And again, I'm going to mention it again, streetstyletshirts.com. Check it out. Check out some of the great fashion, pick up a couple things, say hey to Dave. The Pad Los Angeles, which is a multimedia production facility. And you can follow him on Instagram at dave.greene.productions. Don't forget, Greene has an E at the end at street_style_T_shirts. Follow him there. There's a lot of great artwork there. The Pad Los Angeles. It's the.pad, PADD.los.Angeles. And on Facebook at david.steven.greene. So glad to have you. I wanted to put a quick thanks to Roxanne Seaman, who introduced me to David. What a great friend. You want to say something about Roxanne before we say goodbye, David?
Oh man, Roxy's on a whole different level, man.
Yeah, she is.
I mean, as a lyricist, as a publisher, as
a connector of people.
Yeah, she's on a whole different level. And you can check her out on Wikipedia if you don't know who she is, man.
Yeah, she's great. Okay, well, what's next? You want to plug anything you're doing coming up next, Dave?
Well, we've got a new collection coming on Street Style T-shirts, and this one is going to be music based. It's called Music Matters.
Okay, love it.
The new collection, Music Matters.
Music
so
Matters.
Look for that.
And so it does. I'm going to tell you one more time. Next Monday, this Sunday, and this Monday, if you get a chance and you're in Los Angeles, order takeout food. Everybody's going to eat that day a couple times. Order the takeout food from AOC. It's called Takeout for Ukraine. Suzanne Goen and Caroline Stein are preparing great food to take out for Ukraine Sunday, March 20th and Monday, March 21st. 100% of the proceeds from both evenings go to the World Central Kitchen for the takeout food or the to-go food. I also wanted to mention quickly, next week, we have Lois Mahalia, the artist Lois Mahalia. She's a beautiful singer and musical artist. And we've got from Japan, Rin. She's coming on the show. Next week, we also have Beth Lapidi. She's a comedian, a writer for the Uncabaret. It's been out celebrating 25th anniversary. Got a lot of great guests coming up. So I hope you keep joining us. And I wanted to mention one last thing. We got so much to mention on this show. Just looking over my stats over last weekend, Ukraine is always number 3 as our behind United States, Ireland, and Ukraine. And then it's Russia that's behind in our listeners, one after another. And our top 5 since we started the show. And since we started in the last 3 weeks, there has not been one download from Ukraine, which really saddens me. And I hope everybody there is safe. And I want to have you back. I want to make sure we keep spreading as much good as we can out there in Ukraine and around the world. You guys are both number 3 and number 4 as listeners. Let's get along. My simple plea, but I just want to say, communicate, listen more, and evolve. David Greene, thank you so much for joining us this hour, and we can't wait to have you back, my friend.
Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you. All right, everybody, have a great week. Thank you, Dr. D.
All right. Thanks, Doc.
All right, we are clear. Thank you. Don't go away. Don't go away.
We're gonna do a radio drop to keep promoting you. So
and we're not tight on time. I just remembered, and I'm setting it up now. The program that's normally live here at 2:06 is actually recorded.
Oh, okay.
So we're fine. We're not pressed.
Well, let's do another show.
Okay, we're having him back.
We're back already.
That's right.
Oh, you have to mention one more thing.
We'll slot it in.
Okay, let me record that first before we do his,
okay,
if you don't mind.
All right. Since we have time, I need to take a quick break.
Oh, okay.
I apologize, and I'll be right back.
Okay, we got to get together in LA sometime, man, and have a drink or whatever you do.
Are you in LA, man?
I'm in LA a lot. I live in Santa Barbara, but I'm down there sometimes a couple times a week, for business. So.
Oh man, hit me up, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to. Which area of town are you in?
I'm in North Hollywood.
North Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
Coldwater Canyon, North Hollywood.
Oh, I love it up there. Very nice.
You know what's interesting though? I mean, we're not live now, are we?
No, and then this
Okay.
is still being recorded, but I can cut it off. You
Okay.
can say whatever you
Well,
want. I'll cut this off.
well, my home girl sister, right,
Uh-huh.
from British Guyana, that was in Joe Walsh's band while I was in it, is
Uh-huh.
Lois Mahalia.
No way.
Yes
Are
way,
you,
man.
what a small world.
Yes way.
That's crazy. And you didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I didn't know
That's
she was
awesome.
coming on
You should say hello to her. She's actually on tomorrow. Yeah.
tomorrow. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do
man,
you want to
I'm gonna-
surprise her and come in and say
well,
hi
I
to her
don't-
or no?
Well, can I do that?
Yeah, I could like surprise her and you can come in at some point for a couple minutes and say hello.
Do that, man.
Okay. All right. So we're doing, let me see what time we're recording. We're doing her show tomorrow at, she is on at 12 to 1 tomorrow. So you want to come in around 12:30?
So
Okay.
sounds good, man.
Okay. So you'll just use the same Zoom link and you'll come right in and Richard will let you in and we'll just surprise her.
All right on, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's my home ground. In fact, when we first got out to Texas, we were Joe Walsh kind of took us all out to dinner,
Uh-huh.
and she listened to my accent. My accent is kind of Guyana mixed with New York, so it's
Uh-huh.
kind of hard to tell. And she said, "Are you from Guyana?" I was like, "Yeah." How did you know? She said, "Because I'm from Guyana." It's like, holy smoke! Hey, all my years in the rock and roll industry, I must have met like 3 people that are from Guyana.
Wow. Yeah, that's so cool that you guys know each other. It's funny. I won't even tell her that we talked. I will post this today, but I won't tell, she's
Good.
just so she's totally surprised tomorrow.
Right on, man.
Okay.
They know each other. My guest tomorrow, Lois.
Really?
Yeah.
Mahalia.
Hell yeah. Quickly, the story there, the connection is my mom gets her haircut from Lois's sister-in-law and so my mom has been getting her haircut with her for 20 years and knows that whole family, that side of the family, William and all those guys, all of her family and all, they've been musicians locally in town and they sing. And my sister that day said, I bumped into Lois, who I didn't know at all, never met, and said, I bumped into Lois and she's got a new single dropping Friday. And she was hoping maybe she could come on the show. Do you have time? Do you have a show? And I had a show open and I said, I'd love to have them because I wanted to invite her and her family for years. They're so talented. I've heard their music, didn't know her. And so anyway, she's coming on to promote a new single, coming up on a new album, and this will be great. Dave is going to drop in tomorrow at 12:30 on the show to surprise Lois because they toured together with Joe Walsh.
Great.
Isn't that amazing? That's what you missed while you were in the bathroom. He was mentioning.
Cool.
That's my home girl from Guyana, man.
Absolutely.
What a small world.
That's cool. All right. So you wanted to record a little piece.
I wanted to direct everybody to, David sent me some great personal photos. I'll record it. You'll hear.
Okay, here we go.
So this would go right before my final goodbye.
Right.
Whatever.
You
Okay.
got it. I'll slot it in properly.
Okay.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
All right. So David, before you guys go, I wanted to direct you to go to our Facebook, the Jeremiah Show page. And David sent me some personal, like some photos of him and Tom Petty. There's just a lot of great people in these different photos, but they probably have never been really seen before, except for maybe personally among friends. David sent those to me. I wanted to share them if that's okay, David.
Oh man, absolutely, man.
Because I think it's really cool. It shows a little bit of your life with some of these great people and how great they were to you and vice versa. So go to the Jeremiah Show Facebook page and I'll put those photos up for you to check out.
Excellent.
Right
That was
on.
it. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll put up all your links to everything we've mentioned as well, David, when we post the show and all that, so people can click through.
And now we want to get a little soundbite from you, a little drop in we can put into other shows. Basically, you introduce yourself and then you give a little promo about the stuff you do that you'd like people to find out about. And you're listening to the Jeremiah Show. Okay.
Yeah. Make sure in the middle there, though, that you put out, your fashion line or whatever it is, one thing that like a website or something that people can go, okay, I'll check that out. Because this will be.
By the way, he's got hoodies too. Tank tops.
By the way, is that jacket that you're wearing? Is that one of yours or?
This is one of mine.
I love it.
I like it too.
I mean,
We got to get Dr. Joe for Christmas.
Yeah, love it.
In the shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Is it backwards?
No, that's actually forwards. It is actually
Mine is backwards. I put my mount backwards most days.
Yeah.
And that's a true story, or inside out. But that's great, David.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Really cool.
All right, let's do this. You ready, David?
Yes.
All right, here we go. I'll count you down in 3, 2, 1.
Well, hey, Dave Greene here, and I am just, first of all, thrilled to be on the show with you guys. I mean, this is amazing. What we've got going on is with the fashion brand. Again, it's streetstyletshirts.com. And here in the pad, where you're looking at the background here, we do a lot of music production here. We work with different artists, drum tracks, music production, and that you can see on Instagram, david.green.productions. But the t-shirt stuff, streetstyletshirts.com, there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming down the pipe. I mean, a lot of really cool stuff. So, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your listeners, and peace looks good on anybody. Remember that. Peace looks good on anybody.
And you're listening to the Jeremiah Show.
The Jeremiah Show. You're listening to the Jeremiah Show with somebody that I now call Doc.
All right.
You got a nickname out of this one, Doc.
I love it.
Doc.
Hey, thank you.
Maybe
Thank
I'll get
you.
mine next time.
You'll get yours,
I'll
yeah.
be patient.
Okay.
See you tomorrow, my friend.
Yeah. Looking
All
forward
right, guys.
to tomorrow.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Peace.
You bet.
Thanks.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye.